Nature photographer who cares about the environment and nature and tries to highlight the man-made struggles of our wildlife. He's worked in really deep water, really deep snow, sand and sun, so yeah, a good range of things to tell us about. And he also has a clothing company called Pure Threads, which specialises in slogans that only photographers would understand.
Currently, yes, currently
yeah.
Film photographers. We're moving on.
And today he's going to explain his love of black and white photography, which I really can't wait to learn more about. So there's some pictures around to have a look at afterwards. And if anyone wants to buy one, then talk to Martin as well. And yeah.
Right, excellent. Let's go to the next slide. So just what I'm going to cover very briefly. Let's move on straight away. Who I am. I'll give you a little bit of a background. I'm going to show you some pictures, and then we're going to delve into why black and white photography for me, and some tips and learning things maybe. Again, this is from my perspective. There are many perspectives on how you do things, and I'll be sharing them with you. And then some more pictures, but the ones I've taken here in the Falklands. So, who am I, where I'm from? I'm from London originally. Emma is my wife. She's just coming in a minute. She's one of the vets here. We've been here for about a year. We're here for another year or so. And we're thoroughly enjoying it, and I would love to stay longer, so I'm working on that. Wildlife photography has always been a passion. It started underwater, and I'll get onto that. I used to be a fanatical diver, and I always wanted to come back with photos from underwater to show people. That's how it started my photography career. In London, I work as a business consultant. It's very, very exciting, I can tell you. It's really very exciting. But at every opportunity I could get, would get out and would leave and go travelling around the world whenever we could. In 2011 to 2012, Emma and I went travelling around the world, and my entire view of everything changed. In short, I thought we'd go around the world for 12 months, drinking, seeing cities and everything else. We got to Mongolia, we saw wildlife, and that completely changed everything. That was, the entire year was in search of wildlife from that point on, and really loved it. Thing about diving and learning photography, great place to learn. So many mistakes. You move, the fish moves, the light's rubbish, there's stuff in the way, it's dangerous, it's cold, it's hot. So a really good learning environment if you're willing to learn from your mistakes. And I took hundreds of thousands of photos, of which I've got one in my collection nowadays. So there was a real learning experience over those days. And yes, my side hustle is selling t-shirts for photographers. But anyway, just as a side. Let's move on. So, my collection is called Out of the Grey, my main collection, and basically it was put together in about 2018, 2019. And it's what I've seen. It references a couple of things. It is black and white photography, so Out of the Grey fits in there, but also at the time I was a bit down in the office, always looking to go out, and it was my Out of the Grey, my escape, my view of what was going on. And these are the kind of things that drove me to take the photos. What is it? How do I make a good photo? Passion comes into it all the time. Without that, I see photos and I'm not all that enthused. They're not the same, I would say, quite frankly. So that's a real driver behind it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through some of the photos. I've got about 8, and I'll go through them pretty quickly. We'll say what they are, and then if we want to discuss them afterwards, we can. Some of them are on the tables, and there is a good reason for that when we get to the learning section. So you can see them physically, which I think is a completely different medium to seeing them. This screen's quite nice, actually, but if it's on this screen or on your phone or anything else, I think this is where your prints need to be physical prints. That's what I really like on. So let's move to the first photo. This is Origin. It's a green sea turtle in the Red Sea, which I used to go to regularly. It used to be very reasonably priced to get there. You could hop on a plane. Before they slowed the plane down from London, it was 4 hours away. You could be in the ocean, 24 hours later, and you could spend time there. I used to go 4 or 5 times a year over there, and then I started traveling other places. So this is, as I said, this is Origin, species, where we come from, but also this is a direct referral to myself, where my photography really came from at the beginning. When we have time for questions afterwards, I will happily talk. I could talk half an hour on each one of these in the background, okay? But I know we're tight for time, and I want to get on to how you can improve your black and white photography and other bits and pieces. So we'll scoot on to the next one. This is my Namakwa chameleon, photographed in Dorobo National Park in Namibia. The normal print, that's a half-size print over there, down there. The actual animal, where's my animal? Is here. This is how big that animal was, right? And I love doing this with kids normally. The print's about that big, and they go, "How big is it?" And they're like, "Oh, it's this big." No, it's genuinely about that big. That's the closest thing I could find with me, and I carry that with me even all the way over here. So, I really like this. This isn't a traditional macro shot, so we'll just talk a little bit about this shot. I will actually. This is actually a long zoom lens I had with me. I didn't have anything else with me, so just use what you have. I literally just I've rented this lens, so it was in 200 to 400, 1.4 converter on it, Canon one, with one DX on the end. I literally buried it in the ground, so I was at eye level with the creature. That's how I got that shot. Next. Wahoo! There's a long story to this, but this is my favourite leopard shot. It's night leopard shots as well, which I really enjoy. It's the eyes that get me on this one personally. You know, it's really engaging. My mum is watching, and she did think it was a tiger once, I think. But anyway, we all learn. So yeah, this is Wahoo. It's a waterhole. I'm in a hide. Fair enough. I'm only about this far away. That's not particularly cropped. That was just that's almost the whole picture. So I was very close with that one. And it was a constructed hide, this one, so you could be quite safe, because although this one was semi-wild compared to completely wild, into the background of it, it will still give you good battering if you had a chance. So avoid that. Next. In your face. This is one of my favourite all-time photos, and it's Emma here. You're there. This is Emma's photo, okay, let's be honest. Emma was taking this photo when I looked over her shoulder and went, "That's a bloody good idea." So I promptly brought my camera and took a shot. I have edited differently to Emma because I do black and white, and I spent a lot of time tidying it up, but I really like this shot. It's quite intimate, it's quite close. It is a lion. You might not know it's a lion. It could be a lion, it could be another cat. But this is a people's favourite, if you like, and we have this on our wall in the UK, and now that I have it printed out, we'll have it on our wall here as well, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, sure. Clipped out title. That's not normally there, to be honest. This is fireworks. Now I haven't put down the species here, because it's nice to have a conversation normally around it while we are dashing here at the time. This is a porcupine at night taken outside of a sort of Toyota which had the roof cut off, so you can just sit outside and take photos of it. It was lit with a spotlight, and it's walking away through a puddle. So again, really nice, really good for black and white contrast difference. It's really, really good for that. Can I eat you? I love this photo as well. I'm quite passionate about the photos. I love the animal. Watching these animals is amazing. But the nice thing about this one in the print is I managed to get it right down the centre of the eyes. So actually, on the physical print, I don't know if it works here, if you walk around the polar bear, it follows you around the room, which is a bit spooky. And the eyes just keep contact with you. That's something I learned when I was doing the exhibition for the first time. Right down the lens means your brain will still keep it focused on you as you walk around it. And I noticed that was really nice. Really good. Can I eat you? I was sitting there watching this thing and wondering what was going through its mind, and it was quite clear it is, you know, the top predator up there. It only wants one thing. It's not there to see us. It's not there to talk to us. It is there to try and eat us, is what I figured. So that's Can I Eat You? That was in Svalbard, sorry. The clean-up crew in Botswana, these are white-backed vultures. Don't normally get a good rep. Does make a good boardroom picture. Very important species. Clears up after everything, troubled, endangered, everything that's poisoned within the ecosystem underneath it. Obviously, they eat everything, so it all goes up it, and they suffer really significant losses through poisoning, effectively. Not direct poisoning, but indirect poisoning. I love the texture on here, and it's not. And also like the fact that it's not a typical subject. It's a different subject. Normal, we have lions, we have cute things, but it's nice to have, other animals in the ecosystem as well. it's a seal, it's a whale seal. I'll go over this side so people can see from over there. Yeah, that was in Antarctica in 2019. So easy to take that photo. I must have taken about 2,000 when I was sitting there to pick this one in the end. What you do, you're sitting there in the sun, you're looking at it, you just keep snapping away. But yeah, it's a nice soft photo, that one. Next one, I skipped 13, that's we'll just do. Same trip, fearless, chin-strap penguins jumping in the ocean, and we spent 2 hours being thrown around in the rig here. Oh, you've got the reflection on there, haven't you? So I just got a second. Is that her? You see that one? Oh, is it that one? I'm sorry. Can we just lower that for a sec? So I think hold. So a dozen, 3, a dozen. There were many more chin-strap penguins. We were bouncing around the rig there for a couple of hours. Everyone else was going to photograph whales. I think I got a photo of them afterwards. But this is where I wanted to be. It was me, the photographer on the boat, the tour leader, my mum and my dad, basically. And we just sat there. I was like, we're going to see the whales. No, we're going to stay here. We're getting a nice shot. That's just the way it's going to be. Cold, but like that. Next. And then I went to take a photo of the whale. Okay, so there we go. Afterwards, I have a number again. Lots of shots. We were surrounded by, there must have been a dozen humpbacks. They were bubble feeding, they were jumping, they were doing everything. But I like this shot, so it's just nice and clean. Right, quickly on to why did I choose black and white? The answer's in the next slide, in all honesty. I knew I was going to have an exhibition in 2018 for 2019. I'd got a favour basically owed. You know, they couldn't afford me for a job, so they said, why don't you have a residency for a week in our location? I said, oh, that sounds amazing, let me go and see it. The Fitzrovia Chapel in London is a Byzantine ornate building. Is outside, it's red brick, by the way. You wouldn't have a clue it's like this. And I went in there, I was like, oh, I've been doing colour photography for quite a long time. My colour photos are going to look a little bit under par in this environment. There's no point competing with it. And I'd always wanted to go to black and white. And it just pushed me over the edge, quite frankly. I was like, so for the next year, I curated the exhibition for the location to take advantage of it. If you're in London, it's still open, you can go and see it. It's a great little place. It used to be part of the Middlesex Hospital. It was never consecrated. Middlesex Hospital is gone, but everyone from every faith could go in there for a bit of peace and quiet. So yeah, that's the final thing that pushed me over the edge. And for about 8 years after that, I did everything in black and white. Family shots, wildlife, weddings, whatever it was I was doing, all black and white only. Now, a bit more mixed. Right. So this section is really about, I've been asked to talk a little bit about why, how can we improve things, are there any tips, tricks? So a little bit more here. So what do I think the benefits of black and white are? I mean, my prime one is I think it focuses on the subject. I mean, for me, I tend to do a lot of in-your-face shots like these portraits. I do some landscapes as well. So, that is there already. But things like here, this distraction here, this could have been a blue sky. In fact, it was a blue sky. But because you apply filters to it, you can create your own, your own impression. And without colour at all, you are just focusing, on the subject. A beautiful sunset is beautiful, but if your little subject's in there, it completely distracts you from it. So I think a combination of those things, the edit will come on to, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but the fact that it draws you to the subject, you're looking at it, that's my own personal opinion. That's why I really like black and white. If I'm looking at a black and white photo of Gabriel that I've taken in the past, playing the drum kit or something is the one I've got in mind, I'm looking at him, I'm not looking at the background, I'm not looking at the room, it's really drawing me into him. So, I don't think they age. Now this is also from a commercial perspective, that's relatively important. There are trends, there are colours, every year they come out with new Pantone colour, this is this year's colours, this is that year's colours. You put a black and white picture, it'll go nearly anywhere in any environment and it will always still look like it was. It will still look in fashion, in trend. So if you like it, you're in luck, because that's always going to be good. And this is my vision, it's not the camera as well. As I said, through the edit, and there's a lot done in the edit in black and white photography, quite frankly, you can make it your vision, what your expression is of that view. I'm not talking about putting extra animals in, or removing animals, or things like that, but how you draw the tones, the blacks, the whites out, how you do that allows you to create a completely different vision. Colour, you can do the same. You can push something more, bluer, red, or whatever, but it's not as profound a difference. So you can have more creative control, I think. That's what I think. Next slide. Right, so a couple of tips. We've got tips for photography, tips for black and white as well, and we'll work through them. So this is what I use. So when I'm looking for a photo, what is it I want to do? Eyes in focus. That is my #1 top tip. I was given that when I was learning. I did a underwater photography course in the swimming pool in the UK, and they gave a plastic parrot and they put it in the pool and said, go down and photograph that. The only thing, they said, the #1 thing, especially if you're into competitions, and I'm not incidentally, eyes in focus. Right? That is the #1 thing. Wahoo, down here. That's the significant. It's absolutely sharp on the eyes. If you get nothing else in the photo, right, it'll still look good. If you get that and everything else, it'll look really good. For me, get low, eye level or below. We were talking briefly about my chameleon there. I buried myself in the ground to get it. I will lie on the floor, any kind of floor, don't really care, but always wash your clothes afterwards and take a photo. It could be considered respect to the animal. I like my images from eye level or below. So with very small animals, that can be tricky. Penguins are pretty small too, so you need to get down as far as I'm concerned. Technical aspect, don't shoot wide open. So we'll talk about lenses here. So lenses, different apertures, let different amounts of light in. The larger aperture gives you that nice soft background feel when you take photos of people. It kind of blurs everything out. Very nice. That's what I mean by wide open. However, if you do that, you may not get the whole animal in. So you need to make that decision. Do I just want the eyes in focus, or would I like the entire animal in focus? And also, actually, if you're shooting wildlife and the bird's moving all over the place and you're trying to track it, a bit of depth at f8 rather than 2.8 on your fastest, as long as it's letting light, will give you that scope for the autofocus to miss a little bit as well, and you still capture the photo. So that's the thing. Good. Next tip is sand and dust kills cameras. Now, I've learned this the hard way. I was worried about water when I thought I might have to take my camera out in the rain. I went to Africa, I also went to Volunteer Point when it was very windy, and the dust gets in your camera. It takes weeks to get out. I've got a lens I'm going to show you just if we just change. I found this photo my friend took me at Volunteer Point the other day, and here I am lying on the floor with my lens, doing the wrong thing, leaving my other camera lying on the sand. I'm still getting sand out of that lens 3 months later, which makes cleaning the photos up a real pain, quite frankly. So that's my suggestion for wildlife photos. Lie on the floor, point your lens at the animals. Right, let's move on to the next tips. Let's go to progressing in wildlife photography. So how do we move on as a wildlife photographer? What is it that I think about that I want to take my next photo and make it better? Shoot a lot, right? Shoot a lot. I know people complain, I know a few wildlife photographers who do film. Nick Brandt's one of my inspirations. He does medium format film. He has a different life to me, right? But if you want to learn, go and shoot a lot of photos. Come back and look at them, right? See which ones work, edit them, crop them, make them what you want, go back and look at them again. Especially with moving wildlife, fine. That seal sitting there, you could have probably got in 1, 2 shots. It moved occasionally, take another shot. Anything moving, take another shots. You'll see what you like when you come back. It's all learning. Even now, I'm still not learning. But if I'm taking pictures of photos, I went to Sea Lion Island the other day, taking pictures of photos, jumping out of the water. I have 4,000 photos from that evening, right? I will publish one. I'm also very good at culling my photos. I'm no nonsense, no emotion attached approach to deleting the photos I don't want. So it's worth doing if you want to progress, right? I think. Just get out there. So I used to suffer from this. Oh my God, I want to do a macro shot. I will go and buy a macro lens or rent a macro lens, or I cannot take that shot because I don't have the right kit. My very favourite photo, the macro chameleon, super big zoom lens, taking a macro photo because that's all I had. That works much better for me here. I've come with a set amount of kit, and I've kind of lost. There's something called gear acquisition syndrome. It's gone. There's no gear to buy. I don't have Amazon. I don't have anything, and I'm much happier. just take my stuff, I go out, I'm a happier bunny. So whatever you've got, just go and use it, don't worry about it. You'll learn from what you're doing. Composition over kit, this ties in as well. Gear will get you sharper photos, don't get me wrong. If I want to take a picture, I'm going to print it A0, double A0. You need a good glass, right? But if you're not intending to produce a picture that big, you don't need to go crazy. You can get some really good stuff. Compete against yourself. I was forever trying to be the next Salgado, the next brand, the next Yarrow commercially. That's commercially very successful. But actually, I'm not improving myself by competing with them. I'm improving myself by competing against myself. Is my shot, are they now better? So when I first went diving, I'd be happy to get one good shot a holiday. Then one good shot a week, and then one good shot a dive, and so on and so on and so on. I'm competing with myself, and therefore I'm improving. Steal like an artist. There's a famous saying from Austin Kleon, but basically what I'm saying is don't steal someone else's photos, clearly that's not, but get inspiration. I stole like an artist from Emma over there to make in your face. But it's not just from other people, so that's my inspiration. I look at Salgado, I've got his books, I've Brandt, all these other people. I look at them, I get inspired by what they do, and I go and make my version of that. There are greats who have done it. And also, don't forget, steal from yourself. Look at your own catalogue. Look at what you've done in the past. You've got lots of photos. Which ones do you like? Why do you like them? What is it about them? Moving on. Specifically for black and white tips. Print your work. The reason I have gone out to our lovely printers down the road there together is to make a point. You would have seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All 5 pictures are on here. But then go and look at them on the print. It's a different experience. You don't have to print them this large, incidentally. But printing completely changed my approach to photography once I've done that process. Even on your own, doesn't matter. Whatever printer, your A4 printer, print them out. It's all backlit on the phone, on the screens. It looks different. It feels different. And if you want to improve your photography, it gives you a different perspective of exactly the same image. So I can't recommend that enough from my point of view. I bought an A3 printer a long time ago. I was curious about papers, so I was printing on different papers. I wanted to know everything. But it changed how I started the process because I knew what I wanted at the end. The process is long and complex that way. But by seeing it on the paper, I could go, well, hang on a second, that's not going to come out. That isn't going to work. Or the composition doesn't look the same to me on the paper as it does here. That's strange. It should be exactly the same image, but to me it was very different. If you have live view on the back of the camera, you can switch into black and white. This is a hit and miss idea because if you're going to edit your photo and post anyway, the reality is that great photo is not going to look like your photo in the end anyway. Works very well if you're using a little Fuji, and you're not a little Fuji, Fuji cameras are great, their film emulations are superb. I'm really upset I sold those cameras, but they're absolutely superb, and they're the only ones I use from JPEG. I tune the inbuilt recipes basically, and they were the only cameras I'd be happy to take photos, although not of wildlife, I hasten to add, or family photos. There. Black and white rewards, contrast, shape, texture, repeating patterns. It really rewards those things. So look for those things when you're taking photos. Textures are in 1, 2, 3, 4 of these photos. So look for those things when you're going out. And if you actually want to train yourself, you can actually go and do that. I want to take photos of 3 things. I want to take photos of repeating patterns. You can go out half an hour, once a week, or whatever else it is, as a practice, and you'll start recognizing patterns you haven't seen before. You'll start seeing, it's like I used to work in London, and I used to walk around like this all the time. Running to work and oh god, this, and then I started looking up and seeing the other side of London. Just half an hour a day, and then everything changed. You start seeing a completely different thing. Same with the camera. Take it, go out, take those photos, come back. Even if you don't look at them afterwards, you would have looked through the lens in a different way. Shooting raw. If you're doing wildlife black and white photography, your camera can do it. I absolutely recommend shooting in raw. I don't shoot in anything else whatsoever because it allows you, gives you more flexibility in the post-edit. Now, if that means nothing to you, don't worry about it, just go and do what you can. But if you're using camera, and the other thing with that, and this is a bit, I know it's technical, when you're converting into black and white, if you've got a raw image in Lightroom or whatever software you use, Lightroom, Affinity, so on and so forth, Do not hit the switch to black and white button. That is not where you want to go. That is not your vision. That is the computer's vision. You might as well just do it in camera and have no control. Use a filter. Go into the filter section, drop a red filter on it, drop a yellow filter on it, drop an orange filter on it. It gives you a really good starting point and a really nice amount of contrast to work with. Do that with all the photos. Every photo I do. All of these. You know, and even landscape ones. So there we go. So, where are we next? Moving on. Yeah. Right. I've mentioned my heroes as we've gone along. Can we share this deck afterwards? Yeah. We'll share a link to the deck. You can have it. But these guys are my heroes. Photographer, trainer. Ben Long did his courses. Really enjoyed them. Very engaging. Very good. Incidentally, if everyone wants to get for coffee or for beer and talk about this, I'm more than happy to do that at any point, as long as I don't have child duties or anything like that. And I've mentioned the internet. Really, to get started, if you've got a question, you can ask YouTube, right? There's some really good information out there. Ben's stuff is far better, of course, absolutely worth doing. But if you want to get somewhere and spend any money, have a look there. Ask your friends. All right, now, next. Right, so I've got a few photos to wrap up with. I think I'm on time almost. I've rattled through. These are some of the photos I've taken while I'm here. And now, I'll be honest, life is a bit different now. Black and white is a bit of a luxury for me because it does take a long time to do the final edits. Some of these edits took 2 weeks. Some of these ones I haven't had the time to do 2 weeks, so it took an hour or two to get it where I wanted to be. So I've got fewer now. I have different responsibilities because I'm a primary stay-at-home dad. Look after Margot, who's 2 and destructive, and Gabriel over there. Less destructive nowadays. Closer to home, the Falklands. So yes, a few photos just that I've taken off here that I'm quite proud of. Next one, please. So here we are. That's this one. Yeah, I really like this one. This is from Falkland Island. When I was looking through the photos, it was just sitting there in the background. And I went back to my catalogue before I came in here. So, Emma probably pointed it out. It's nice to have a different pair of eyes on what you've done. And I think actually it prints really nice. It comes out very nicely. Direct on with the eyes from focus. Actually, the front beak is in focus. Not just that bit here, it's a little tiny bit soft. I know that, but that's fine. Eyes, texture, all in focus. Really. Happy with that one. Next. Another species. These are everywhere. You don't have to go far. Even if you don't want to leave Stanley, you can go and take a photo of one of these. There they are. Just there. Just probably out there at the moment. This was actually taken in 2019 on Bleecker. But anyway, it was here. So this is, because I was here before. Aha, sneaky. So I think this is my favourite one. So next. What do we have? Is that the same one I said?
No, got it.
Yes, black brown albatross. I like these. I like them. We all like them. Really, let's be honest. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be here. Off the back of a boat when we were going around the Falkland Islands in 2019. So we came here for 3 days, Mum and Dad, and then we went to South Georgia and that time together. So this was just in the vicinity. Absolutely like this. It was, yeah. Well, there's nothing really to say. Picture speaks for itself. I like the animals. Next one. Yes, why not? No, foot seal. Again, down at eye level. It's a bit more worrying. But I was, he looked calm. And that's probably at 500 mil, so I'm probably, this far, yeah. So table one, a little bit. So, we're 6 meters away, should we say. Right, next. I really like this one actually. This was, I went and volunteered quite a couple of times since I've been here. This is a landscape shot. I don't do too much in landscape, but when the opportunity is there, I am an opportunist photographer. So I printed this one out over here if you'd like to see it. And yeah, I'm really proud of this one. I like it. I like the lines, the contrast on it, and the clarity in the image, particularly of the penguins are really, really nice and sharp. And this was literally, this is framed. So the other thing I've learned as I take more photos, and I used to crop a lot. Now my crops are very slight. It might be at an angle because I'm lying at a different angle, right? But all my pictures being here, so the native resolution of this is huge, and it's super, super sharp. Not an expensive lens on the front of this particular camera. just a standard kit lens, but one up from that, but produces really nice results. I've got all my kit lists and everything in the back of the deck, so I didn't want to go over it now, so you can share those. I can speak to you after that. Makes sense. Again, same day, different perspective. They came round. I like this. There's a bit more atmosphere in this picture again. So again, landscape secondary, but I like an environmental landscape. It's really good. I've got one. I didn't put it here. It's difficult for the screen. Of elephants and Ambercelli, and that took like 4 weeks to edit. But yeah, I like this. It just fits in. The composition's really nice. And again, this is almost the frame. It's probably, I tend to take photos on a bit of a wonk, because I tend to be lying on the floor quite a lot, so I'll fix that. Probably add a vignette around as well. That's a good thing to do. Very slight vignette. You know, I'm about to -11. Just ever so slight notice. Just slight. You just notice it's slightly editing your photos at -11, but it does make a really nice difference. So it just draws you in slightly to the image. This is on Beaver. I just really like this photo. I like the lines, the separation. It is all kind of going this way a little bit. But I like the penguins and landscape. So that's not one of my personal favourites is what you're seeing here, really. Next. Volunteer point. Many penguins, many different shots. Try something different is what I thought. I've got so many pictures of king penguins standing there like this. I think we might, or any penguins like that. I think, what do we do that's different? Just point it right to the centre. So this looks very good in colour as well, I'm not going to lie. Right, this looks very pretty in colour. There's no two ways about it, but I prefer this in black and white. And if you did that on a full-size print, you'd see all the texture on the neck and everything else. And this is the last one from volunteer point from that day. I was just lucky. I was just sitting down at the beach, realising that actually, volunteer point is such an amazing wildlife destination. We've been to them myself all over the world. It is unique in how it shows a penguin. It is at not holding a penguin. It's such a privilege to be able to get down there, take photos and see it. You don't have those white sandy beaches with penguins on all these snow or grass or plastic or whatever else it is. It's beautiful. I really enjoy being there. And I was just sitting there at the end before I went. I was looking for a seal in the water, to be fair, but that's the shot I got. I think that's something.
I've got a few more.
Ah, yes. However, I've got to the questions section. Now, I have prints out on the table, so please get up and have a look at them when we're done. I'll answer any questions either directly here, or I'll walk around the table, so that I can do that. But I thought I would start you off with a question, because often if we're asking questions, how do we get things moving? So I've got a question on the next page, and that'll be the last slide for me, because the next two are my kit. What kit do I use? I use Canon, roughly. Mostly, is it better than the others? Not really, but I own it. And I've owned them for 20 years. I now buy lenses for Canon that are 20 years old that are really cheap, that still fit with the adapters, and it's great. So stick with what you've got, really. Cameras nowadays are all pretty bloody good, really, to be honest. Questions. How do you manage your young children? I did mention I have a 2-year-old. This is me with Gabriel in 2016, and there's some elephants in Thailand. And this is me with Margot at Sea Lion last year. So and these two, these are my main responsibility while we're over here currently. So, photography side is definitely on the side of things. So that, people ask, how do you do it? Well, strap them to the back. Now, realistically, I can't lie on the floor with them. It is very difficult. And this does change the angle of your photos. So, first of all, thank you. I love talking about photos, and if anyone would genuinely like to learn a little bit more about it or whatever else, just contact me. We can, as I said, I'm happy to do a pub quite frankly. Whether it's black and white or colour, it's fine. My passion is for wildlife photography is black and white, but I do a lot of colour, especially here, because I just don't have the time to do it completely. So yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, thanks, Martin. That's great. Take a couple of questions, and then maybe everyone can have one around them. But anyone got any questions?
What software do you use for your editing?
38, I think. Sorry.
Carry on.
Software. So the main software I use is Lightroom, straight out. For black and white, there is a really good piece of software called NYX Silver Effects. It's a very specialist piece, but it's very easy to get hold of, and it's a bit difficult to get to learn in the first place, but it is really powerful. But basically, Lightroom, I use Photoshop just to finish things off in. Very rarely now. I used to do a lot of Photoshop about 10 years ago, but Lightroom's become much more capable. And yeah, that's my secret sauce, if you want. I mean, something. The landscape behind you was processed through NYX. I tend to do my work between 11 at night and 2 in the morning, because that's when I have time to myself.
So it's black and white.
Exactly. And at times, you know, if you want to speed things up and you know how to use that, that's really, really, really good stuff. And it's been around for a really long time. It's had different iterations, so that's what it is. Anyone else?
Do you shoot exclusively in black and white, or is it colour?
Not anymore.
Colour.
I did for those 8 years, from about 20, maybe 7 years, 20, even 6 years, 2018 to 2026 to 2026, maybe. No, completely in black and white for a while. But now actually, if I look at my, I take everything in colour to start with, and I process stuff. It's much quicker colour. I can edit a colour photo in about 15 seconds. I've got recipes I've created. I know. I'm not really looking to do anything particularly creative. Was it good in camera? Yeah, fine. Let's tune it a bit. We're done. Out next. So everything's in colour, and I pick. Not everything makes a good black and white photo, I believe. You want to pick the ones, and I do. Like for these ones here, I had 150 photos I looked through quickly from thousands, and I chose 8 to show you. That's the kind of way it goes.
One more. Has anyone got another? Oh, I'll let you get up and have a look around.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.